Your presence here was never a coincidence. You need to trust the force that guided you to search for these answers today. This message found you because you have spent countless months waiting for a sign powerful enough to calm the storm within you. You have carried this emotional weight quietly and alone, afraid that others would dismiss your dreams and emotions as simple overthinking or fantasy. Yet deep inside, that silent voice has always been stronger than the opinions around you. It followed you through sleepless nights, speaking softly, even when you tried to distract yourself or bury the feeling beneath daily routines. You did not invent this sensation. It is something real that continues rising to the surface of your life again and again. What if this persistent pull is not a burden at all, but instead a message from your soul directing you toward a deeper truth? The reason it refuses to disappear is because it comes from a place of knowing so deep that your conscious mind is only beginning to understand it now. A higher awareness has been trying to confirm what you have been too uncertain to fully embrace. Because of fear and old emotional wounds, you attempted to silence your heart. You kept telling yourself that this intensity could not possibly be real. But no matter how hard you tried to suppress it, the truth continued returning because the universe is urging you toward your next transformation. This realization will help you understand why your soul reacts so strongly to this particular person. This connection is different from anything you have experienced before. It remains alive even across long periods of silence and impossible physical distance. That silence is not empty at all. It carries meaning, energy, and unseen emotion beneath the surface. Your intuition refuses to disappear because your soul understands things long before your logical mind can explain them. This was never a random encounter or a meaningless coincidence. It is recognition at the level of the spirit. It is the echo of something your soul has known long before this lifetime. Even when your mind struggles to explain the feeling, every attempt to deny it only seems to strengthen the bond further. Something beyond logic keeps drawing your attention back to the same person, the same emotions, the same unanswered questions. That pull exists because this person entered your life for a reason much greater than temporary attraction. You are not imagining this connection, and you are not losing control of yourself. These emotions are emerging from a sacred and higher place inside you. When you truly listen with your soul instead of your fear, you begin to understand that this is not simply desire. It is a reflection of your deepest truth. Your mind, shaped by pain and disappointment from the past, naturally wants to protect you by labeling this connection as dangerous or unrealistic. But authentic soul connections reveal themselves through signs that cannot be manufactured. One of those signs is peace. Even during separation, part of you feels a quiet certainty that the connection still exists. That peace remains because your soul already understands that what is truly meant for you cannot be destroyed by silence or distance. This connection also functions as a mirror, awakening hidden parts of yourself that were asleep for years. It pushes you toward growth and transformation, not only for the relationship itself, but for your own evolution as a person. You are becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more emotionally awake because of this experience. There is also a deeper shared purpose attached to this bond, something ancient that ties your paths together in this lifetime. The persistence of your feelings is evidence in itself. Temporary attachment fades with time, but this connection continues, surviving every attempt to escape it. No matter how much logic you apply, your soul refuses to close a chapter that still has unfinished meaning. You may wonder why destiny would allow so much silence, confusion, or painful separation if this connection is truly important. Those questions weigh heavily on your heart, but you must understand that destiny does not make mistakes. What is planted deeply within your soul cannot simply disappear because of fear, timing, or physical distance. Some connections pause because both individuals need time to heal, awaken, and mature before they are capable of carrying such intense love responsibly. Everything is unfolding quietly beneath the surface of your ordinary life for a much larger purpose than you can currently see. Your meeting was never accidental. It was a deliberate spiritual awakening designed to open both of your hearts. Even if your mind still calls it an illusion sometimes, your soul already knows that this story is not over. What you are experiencing now is not an ending. It is a temporary pause and a hidden season of preparation. This separation is helping create the strength, wisdom, and alignment necessary for a future that can actually last. Both of you have changed deeply since this connection first began, and the space between you has allowed that transformation to happen. The universe already sees the future version of both of you standing together, fully awake and emotionally ready. That is why you are receiving this reminder now, so you do not mistake temporary silence as a sign to completely give up. Real love does not simply vanish. It transforms, purifies, teaches, and reshapes you. Much of the confusion you feel comes from the battle between fear and intuition as you slowly awaken to the truth. This distance is not rejection. It is alignment happening behind the scenes. The universe is clearing karmic wounds, emotional baggage, and destructive patterns so the connection can return in a healthier form. If both of you had reunited before reaching emotional readiness, the intensity could have become unstable and overwhelming. The separation acts as protection. It creates space for healing so that when you reconnect, it comes from wholeness rather than emotional dependency. This temporary retreat is part of a soul agreement designed to strengthen both of you individually before you can stand together permanently. This period is teaching you how to build a stable relationship with yourself first, ensuring that love never becomes a prison or emotional cage. Distance has become your training ground. It forces you to confront fears of abandonment, loneliness, insecurity, and unworthiness. The universe is encouraging you to discover completeness within yourself, so this connection can eventually exist in its highest and healthiest form. As you continue growing, the energetic bond between you also grows stronger and more balanced. While you focus on healing yourself, understand that the same invisible process is happening within the other person too. Their path mirrors your own in ways you may not fully recognize yet. Even if their awakening currently appears as avoidance, confusion, or emotional withdrawal, what looks like indifference is often a deep internal struggle with fear and ego. They are becoming exhausted from pretending that this connection never affected them. The universe is quietly removing every escape route they once used to avoid their emotions. Their silence has become louder inside their own mind, and their memories of you are becoming impossible to ignore. They are not quiet because they forgot you. They are quiet because the emotions they buried have become too overwhelming to control. Their ego is slowly losing its power as truth continues echoing through the distance they created themselves. This painful phase is necessary because it breaks down pride, denial, and emotional resistance. It clears away outdated patterns that could never support genuine love. Both of you are moving closer toward a turning point where clarity finally becomes stronger than confusion. They are approaching the moment where the pain of living without you becomes heavier than the fear of returning. And when they finally come back, it will not be driven by loneliness or nostalgia alone. It will come from complete surrender to the undeniable truth of this connection. Their return will be sincere, humble, emotionally honest, and free from the walls they once used to protect themselves. This transformation will not feel confusing when it happens. It will feel direct, obvious, and impossible to misunderstand. Divine timing only arrives when both souls are truly capable of sustaining the love they once feared. Your final responsibility now is to step fully into readiness and emotional openness. This does not mean waiting anxiously for someone to appear. It means becoming the version of yourself capable of receiving healthy love without fear controlling the outcome. Release the remaining resentment, pain, and doubt so that whatever returns finds you standing fully in your power. Stop clinging to rigid expectations about how everything must happen. Instead, trust the unfolding process even when you cannot yet see the full picture. Forgive the silence. Forgive the distance. Understand that these experiences became teachers that shaped your emotional strength and spiritual growth. Every painful moment carried a purpose, even when it felt unbearable at the time. The universe has not abandoned this connection. It has been preparing both of you separately so that when the path finally opens again, you are no longer the same wounded people who first met. You are becoming more conscious, more emotionally aware, and more aligned with the truth of who you really are. And somewhere beyond the silence, the other person is changing too. The bond between you has continued existing quietly beneath every distraction, every fear, and every attempt to move on. Souls do not forget what was written into them before words were ever spoken. So instead of asking whether this connection is real, Begin asking whether you are ready to fully accept what your soul has already known for a very long time. The signs, the pull, the dreams, the emotions, and the repeated synchronicities were never random. They were guiding you toward deeper awareness. Your task now is not to chase or force the outcome. Your task is to remain open, grounded, healed, and prepared for what destiny has been shaping behind the scenes all along. Stay grounded in the calm and peace you have already created within yourself. The end of this waiting phase is approaching, and you are slowly being prepared to receive a truth that can no longer be delayed or avoided. They are not silent because you have been forgotten. They are silent because remembrance is too strong, too heavy, too consuming for them right now. The quietness you are witnessing is not emptiness, it is pressure. It is the ego slowly losing its control and grip over what they once tried to suppress. They remain silent because everything they buried inside them is no longer staying buried. The feelings they push down have taken root so deeply that ignoring them has become impossible. This silence is not peace for them. It is a battleground within. It is an internal conflict, a dark night of the ego where everything false begins to collapse. Without this process, nothing within them would truly change. Without it, they would return the same version of themselves, repeating the same patterns and mistakes. Without this inner breaking, they would come back into connection, still carrying fear, hesitation, and emotional walls that prevent real union. What is happening now is necessary. The universe is allowing their inner structure to fall apart so that something new, something more honest, can eventually take its place. It is letting everything unstable collapse so that when they rise again, they do not return as who they were, but as someone stripped of old defenses and illusions. This is why silence should never be mistaken for absence. It is not a sign of detachment. It is a phase of deep inner preparation. This person is being reshaped from within. Their fears are being exposed instead of hidden. Their pride is being softened and broken down piece by piece. Their old emotional habits are being cleared away so they can no longer rely on them. What they once used as protection is no longer working. Destiny is refining them in the same way it has also refined you, though not gently, but truthfully and thoroughly. Both of you are standing at the edge of a turning point, a threshold where resistance begins to fade. A moment is drawing near where both souls start releasing control. A moment where clarity begins to overpower confusion. A moment where fear slowly loses its dominance over decision and emotion. This turning point is not defined by time, but by readiness and alignment. They are reaching the point where the pain of staying away from you becomes heavier than the fear of returning. When that inner shift fully happens, their movement toward you will not come from impulse or temporary emotion. It will not be driven by loneliness or nostalgia. It will come from surrender, a deeper surrender where ego finally yields to truth. Their return will not be half-hearted or uncertain. It will reflect real inner change, a confession within themselves, a release of pride, and an acceptance that what they have been avoiding can no longer be denied. A realization begins forming inside them, one they can no longer escape. The connection they tried to step away from is the very connection they were meant to understand and embrace. As this shift gets closer, attention in the unseen realm also turns back toward you. In this moment of awareness, pause internally and allow yourself to feel. What consistent signs have you been noticing about this person? Perhaps recurring dreams that feel too real to dismiss, sudden memories that arrive without warning, repeating numbers that show up at unusual moments, or songs that seem to play exactly when your thoughts turn toward them. These are not random occurrences. They are symbolic messages, patterns of alignment that point toward something deeper unfolding. These signs are not accidents or imagination. They are communication from a deeper layer of reality guiding you toward understanding. Whatever sign has stayed with you, do not dismiss it lightly. Acknowledge it. Trust the feeling it leaves behind. Speak it into awareness because signs that bring calm and clarity often arise from destiny, while signs that bring only confusion and fear are usually shaped by ego. Your intuition already knows how to distinguish between the two, even if your mind sometimes hesitates. You are not creating this connection in your imagination. You are not holding on without reason. What you feel has substance, and it is moving within both of you simultaneously. Something is awakening on both sides. Emotions that were once buried are slowly resurfacing. Understanding is beginning to take shape. Truth is rising where confusion once existed, and everything is gradually aligning toward a single destined moment. That moment is already set in motion. All of this internal movement, this emotional stirring, this gradual release of resistance, is leading toward one significant turning point. It arrives after silence, after distance, after reflection, and after transformation. The process of separation, reflection, and inner growth is never random. It always points towards something meaningful unfolding. This shift will not appear as something vague or unclear that you need to decode or overanalyze. It will not come as a small hint that requires endless interpretation. Instead, it will be unmistakable, direct, and emotionally undeniable. When timing aligns, clarity replaces confusion completely. It does not whisper through uncertainty. It becomes obvious through action and realization. The moment that arrives will carry weight and meaning that cannot be ignored or misread. The action that follows will not be casual or accidental. It will not come from convenience or passing emotion. It will come from a point of inner exhaustion, where the soul can no longer resist what it deeply knows. A point where running away feels more painful than facing truth. When that moment arrives, what they express will carry honesty, humility, and emotional openness. These are qualities they may have resisted before, but can no longer suppress. However, this kind of alignment does not appear when one is desperate for it. It arrives when both individuals are emotionally prepared to hold what they once could only feel from a distance. The universe does not bring together two people who are still broken in ways that would repeat old cycles. It brings together two individuals who have reached a level of inner maturity where connection is no longer based on fear or lack, but on wholeness and understanding. This is why the separation was necessary. This is why distance was allowed to exist. It was not punishment, it was preparation. It guided both of you back toward yourselves so that you could rebuild from within, not for another person, but for your own growth and completion. Now, as this shift approaches, your final role is to become ready to receive without resistance. Readiness is not anxious waiting or obsessive anticipation. It is inner alignment. It is creating space within yourself so that if something meaningful arrives, it meets stability rather than emotional chaos. You must release any lingering fear, resentment, or doubt so that if reconnection occurs, it meets you in a place of emotional strength rather than vulnerability. If you are still carrying the same insecurities that existed when the connection first broke, there is a risk of repeating the same emotional cycle again. That is why this period of growth has been so important. A true connection cannot survive on unstable emotional ground. It requires maturity, awareness, and inner balance from both sides. To truly receive, you must also let go of rigid expectations about how things should unfold. Do not force the future into a fixed shape in your mind. Do not construct detailed scenarios about exactly how the moment will happen. Let go of control over timing and form, because control often blocks what is naturally trying to arrive. What truly belongs to you does not need to be forced or chased. It returns in its own time, in its own way, when alignment is complete. When you step into this state of openness, you allow life to move without resistance. You stop interfering with the process and instead begin to trust it. And in that trust, things that were once uncertain begin to organize themselves into clarity, timing, and truth.